warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So today we will discuss about the seventh meeting. So this meeting is about airport planning considering disaster risk reduction. Let's talk about the airport planning. The planning of an airport is such a complex process that the analysis of one activity without regard to the effect on other activities will not provide acceptable solutions. An airport encompasses a wide range of activities which have different and often conflicting requirements. They are interdependent so that a single activity may limit the capacity of the entire complex. And in the past, airport master plans were developed on the basis of local aviation needs. Now, in more recent times, these plans have been integrated into an airport system plan which assesses not only the needs at a specific airport site but also the overall needs of the system of airport which surveys an area, region, state, or country. If the future airport planning efforts are to be successful, they must be founded on guidelines established on the basis of comprehensive airport system and master plans. So because the airport planning is a complex process, so when we planning an airport, it shouldn't have to be just planning the airport site itself, but also the system of the airport, that the airport is surveys an area, region, state, or maybe country. So the study should have to be more comprehensive than the airport site itself. And there are four generic types of mistakes are common in planning and designing airports. So these four are the mistakes that you should have to avoid when you want to plan an airport. The first is failure to provide flexibility for responding to future developments. So because as we know, when we planning an airport and then we construct it, then the airport is operate. So the area near the airport in several years will be growing, and the area near the airport lately will be built a building, and then the residential area, the shopping mall, and etc., because the area is also developing. And in several years also, the airport should have to be developing too. So if the designer of the airport is not considering the flexibility to the future developments, so the airport cannot make a development in the future. The second is overbuilding the initial stage of an airport operation. The third is adopting a hierarchical and non-integrated approach to design that doesn't consider adequately the interaction among the various elements of the airport. Like I said before, that the airport is a complex process, so it's not talking about the airport itself, but there are various elements of the airport, so it should have to be integrated between an element to the others. And the last is insufficient appreciation of the economic implication of design choice. So if we design an airport, maybe there are some alternatives that we can give, and then we should have to choose the best one, actually the more effective and the more efficient one. So if we choose the more effective and the efficient, the economic implication will be at high number. So if we talk about the airport planning, we should have to talk about the airport master plan too. So what is airport master plan? An airport master plan is a concept of the ultimate development of a specific airport. The term development includes the entire airport area, both for aviation and non-aviation use, and the use of land adjacent to the airport. It presents the development concept graphically and contains the data and rationale upon which the plan is based. And the master plans are prepared to support expansions and modernization of existing airports and guide the development of new airports. So the master plans make the four common mistakes is not happened, because the master plans are prepared to support the expansion and the modernization of existing airport and to guide the development of new airports. The overall objective of the airport master plan is to provide guidelines for future development which will satisfy aviation demand in a financially feasible manner and be compatible with the environment, community development, and other modes of transportation. This is the example of Changi Airport Master Plan, and this is the example for New Yogyakarta International Airport. Airport Master Plan, more specifically, is a guide for the first is developing the physical facilities of an airport. So as we know, several years after airport operations, there will be passenger growth, so the number of the passenger will be increased and affect the physical facilities of the land side. And also, when the number of passenger increasing, the number of aircraft movement will be increased too, and it will be taken effect to developing physical facilities of the airside. And the second is developing land on and adjacent to the airport. Because of the developing of the physical facilities, it will impact to a land development. And the third is determining the environmental effects of airport constructions and operations. So the environmental aspect is an important aspect now because of the SDGs, or Sustainable Development Goals. The Sustainable Development Goals make sure that airport won't danger the environment. And also, if we think about the environmental aspect, it will be reduce the disaster risk of an airport itself. The fourth is establishing access requirements. So airport planning not only talk about what is on the airport side, but also the access. So how the passenger will go to and from the airport, it should have to be planning to. The fifth is establishing the technical, economic, and financial feasibility of proposed developments through a thorough investigation of alternative concepts. So we should have to choose the effective and the efficient one. The sixth is establishing a schedule of priorities and phasing for the improvements proposed in the plan. So we can't make an immediate development because the development of an airport happens gradually, years by years. So there will be priorities and phasing. Maybe in 5 years or 3 years or 2 years is based on the plan. And the seventh is establishing an achievable financial plan to support the implementation schedule. So the financial plan is needed to support the number the the sixth one. And the last is establishing a continuing planning process which will monitor conditions and adjust plan recommendations as this circumstance warrant. So this is what master plan is for, and this is the flow chart. If we want to make a master plan, this is the flow chart. So at first we should have to collect and analyze the data. So the very first step, if you want to make airport master plan, is collect and analyze the data. There are so many data that we should have to collect. The data will supporting the process here. So after we collect and analyze the data, we should have to forecast traffic demand. And then after forecasting the traffic demand, we should have to make a capacity analysis of airport system. And don't forget the operating policies and space standards and LOS or level of service. After this, we can decide whether we need new airport or no. So if we need the construction of the new airport, so we should have to select the new airport sites first, and then we evaluate the new sites, and after that we should have to select the best site, because maybe there will be some alternative sites. So after that we should have to select the best sites. And if we don't have to build a new airport, we can immediately go to this phase. Or if we should have to build a new airport, after selecting the best site, we can go here to analyze the size airport facilities and calculate it, and then prepare alternative layouts of the airports, and then evaluate layouts. Maybe there are some alternative layouts, and after that we should have to select the best layout. After this, we can make it as airport master plan. So this is the flow chart, how we do or how we make a master plan. So this is the guidelines for completing an airport master plan. that are described by ICAO and the FAA. A master plan report is typically organized as follows. The first is master plan vision, goals, and objectives. So to establish the vision and overarching goals for the master plan as well as objectives that will guide the planning process and help ensure that the goals are achieved and the vision is realized. The second is inventory of existing conditions. Provides an overview of the airport's history, role in the region and nation, growth and development over time, description of its physical assets like airfield and airspace, terminal building, ground access, and support facilities, and key industry trends. The third is forecast of aviation demand. It's about the future levels of aircraft operations, number of passengers, volume of cargo are forecast for short, intermediate, and long-range time periods. So for short is about 5 years, the intermediate is about 10 years, and the long-range time periods is about 20 years on both annual as well daily and busiest hours of the day. The fourth is demand or capacity analysis and facility requirements. So it's to compare the future demand with the existing capacity of each airport component and identifies the facility requirements necessary to accommodate the demand. Next is alternative development. So identifies, refines, and evaluates a range of alternatives for accommodating facility requirements. If the existing site cannot accommodate the anticipated growth, so there will be a selection process to find a new site. Next is preferred development plan, like it identifies, describes, and defines the alternative that best achieves the master plan goals and objectives. Then is implementation plan, to provide a comprehensive plan for the implementation of the preferred development plan, including the definition of projects, construction sequence and the timeline, the cost estimates, and the financial plan of the airport development. Next is environmental overview. So this is one of the important thing, like I said before. So it's to provide an overview of the anticipated environmental impact associated with the preferred development plan in order to understand the severity and to help expedite subsequent environmental processing at the project specific stage. So the environmental overview may reduce the disaster risk. Next is airport plans package. So this is the documents that show the existing as well as planned modifications are prepared. So there are the existing and also the modification plan that are prepared, and more notable is the airport layout plan. So there should have so in airport plans package there are the airport layout plan or ALP. So it comprises drawings that include the airfield physical facilities, the obstruction clearance, and runway approach profiles. Land use plans, also terminal area and ground access plans, and a property map. So this is all of the documents that show the development of the planning of the development of the airport. So for a specific guidelines for the airport layout plan or ALP in the US are identified by FAA. So you can if sometimes you work in this field, you can look for the more comprehensive one in the document in FAA documents. And the last is stakeholder and public involvement. So it documents the coordination efforts that occur among the stakeholders throughout the study. So there are so many stakeholders. If we want to make an airport master plan, like the government is like the the governor and the minister of transportation, and also there will be BUMN like Angkasa Pura, and also for the aircraft operator, they should have to be included in the airport master plan. And also don't forget the public, because if we want to make a development of the airport, the citizens should have to be involved about this plan. Airport master plan that I explained to you before is regulated in ICAO and the FAA documents, but in Indonesia, the airport master plan is also regulated in Law Number 1, year 2009. So this is about the aviation. So the airport master plan contains: the first is estimated demand for passenger and cargo service needs, facilities requirements, facility layout, stage of implementation of development, land use and needs, work environment area, area of interest, aviation, operation safety zone, and noise boundary. So this is airport master plan that regulated in Indonesia.